All right, everybody, welcome into the first ever Fantasy Hackers podcast. I'm Brandon Adams. We have Dustin Nelson, Samuel Josie, and Scott Allen, who's trying to figure out how to log on onto a computer. We started anyway.
I'll get it. Just a second.
This podcast is hopefully going to help you set up your lineups for the major slates of the week, specifically the Wednesday slates in the NBA, DraftKings, or FanDuel. Those are the big slates each week. And we try to break them down for you, give you content that you can consume throughout the day on Wednesday, and set your lineups before lock at 5 o'clock Eastern time. So we're going to get into it a little bit. Josie's going to be our resident medical expert. I'm going to be breaking down who is hurt on which teams and who's not going to be playing and what we know so far. And then we're going to go through each game and look at the best plays available on the slate.
Good deal. We jumping right in right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let me pull up my little chart here. Get rolling. We got double Scott. It's always nice.
2 Scott for the price of 1.
Good thing he comes cheap. I like that where he died off too. That's a great look with his face right there. That is a classic look.
Yeah. Kind of a pouty lip.
Yeah.
And old too.
I need a second. You're gonna have to come back to me here in just a moment's time. I gotta figure this out here real quick. I have it figured out. I don't know where it went.
For the 3 people that are still left into the main slate.
Anybody that's still watching this.
All right. The first game we're going to look at, let's look at the Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers tipping off at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Just FYI, Jose, looks like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves are a game time decision. If maybe you can get some details on that, that'd be good.
Yes.
We got an over-under score of 226, so it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. We got a spread of 5 points. I mean, it's going to be fairly close, which is always good for fantasy. You don't want, all the stars getting subbed out, not playing the last 5 minutes of the game. And a high-scoring, high-paced game, so this would be one that we want to play players in. Let's look at the Lakers first. We got D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis in their starting lineup. Who do you guys like from the Lakers this week?
Well, I think that, if you look at the money, you are spending a little bit of money on Anthony Davis, but he is looking and projecting to pull major points. And so I would think that's money well spent on Anthony Davis.
Yeah, so we got Anthony Davis. What's he coming in at, 10,000?
Let me pull him up right here. Anthony Davis is 10,200. He's currently projected to make 60.8 points, though. So you look at most of these other players that are 6,000 or 7,000, they're around 30 points. You're doubling that at 10,200. So you look at 30-point player for $5,000. It's a great deal.
Yeah. For those of you at home that are just getting into fantasy, to hit value, essentially you want 5 points for every $1,000 that you spend. So at $10,000 that you're spending, you want to hit 50 fantasy points. If you're really confident that Anthony Davis is going to be over 50, then that could be a great play. He's been very hot lately. His last 3 games looks like he's averaging 57.2 fantasy points a game. In his matchup against Cleveland, who's he got? Evan Mobley going to be guarding him. What do you guys think about Evan Mobley? Can he guard anybody? I mean, he should have the body type to come out and guard Anthony Davis on the perimeter, right? Can he guard him in the paint?
I don't know. Evan Mobley is projected at 41 points, $700. I think they're just looking at high offense and no defense. Both Mobley and Davis are probably going to get whatever they want and not play much defense either way.
Brown's coming in. It looks like 9,000.
Hey, I'm back in business, so I'm good to go on my end.
All right, ready to roll. What do you got for injuries for us?
For what?
What do you got for injuries for us?
What game?
For the Lakers.
Lakers are. All right, looks like we've got are we this sounds terrible. Are we talking for tonight's games that are surely already over? We're looking at Wednesday.
What do you think, Gus?
So it looks like you know what? I don't know that I'm ready. We're going to have to come back to me. I don't understand this. Do the Lakers not play again until Saturday?
They play tomorrow.
I'm not
Okay.
seeing any injuries here.
Well, D'Angelo Russell's a game time decision.
Yep, as is Reeves.
Paul George is out. Kyle Kuzma's out. I mean, I guess I should only name Lakers, but there's quite a list of outs if we're talking about in general for tomorrow night.
Yeah, it looks like D'Angelo Russell seemingly suffered his injury during Monday's loss against Phoenix and now is danger of missing Wednesday's contest.
Brogdon's
He is
out.
ruled out. Yeah, if he is ruled out, I mean, if both don't play, Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent might be an automatic. Just click him in. So I mean, that's one to watch during the day tomorrow. If you hear like Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell are out, that's like both their point guard options. Gabe Vincent. I don't know how cheap you can get Bronny, but I mean, he's probably not going to hit value. I mean, the cheapest you usually see is 3.
He's projected with 1.3 points. He's $3,000, so he'd have to hit 15
He's got to go
points.
15 points. Yeah,
It'd be
I
tough.
don't see that.
And he's probably down a little now that he's been demoted to the G League. He's probably not. His confidence has got to be starting to wane.
Dalton Connect has been playing good. He can get hot if he gets some extended minutes. He's only getting 13 minutes a game, but he is getting close to a point per minute. So if if D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves don't play, that's 69 minutes that they've got to make up somewhere. I would imagine a lot of those go to Dalton Connect at only 3,500. He might be one to play.
Big Connect fan. I think he's great. I think he should get more playing time.
If D'Angelo Russell does play, he seems to be the highest value on the board. He's projected to have 33.25 points at $6,000. That's 5.5 points per $1,000. So that's according to the projections from like RotoWire. That's the best play. But I don't know if I feel super confident in any of these. I mean, D'Angelo Russell maybe, but if he's hurt, who knows what's going to happen. So that scares me if he only plays limited minutes. And then maybe my next favorite play on this is Anthony Davis, just because he's been so hot lately.
What about an Austin
Any
Reeves? What about Austin Reeves?
Yeah, Austin Reeves is 6,300. Yeah, his projection is to hit 33 points, but his last 3 games he's been averaging 42. Yeah, I don't mind that at all, actually. Yeah, and if D'Angelo Russell doesn't play, that's probably more usage for Austin Reeves at the point guard position. So
It is,
if
but
you
I'll
get a
also
D'Angelo
mention
Russell,
he is also questionable too, so that's a little bit of a challenge there.
but if you do get D'Angelo Russell out and Austin Reeves in, I almost think that's a lock right there. Now that you bring that up, put him in, averaging 42 fantasy points a game. He's only got to hit 35 to or 30, 32 to hit value. So he's averaging 10 more points than what he's being priced at. So yeah, I think that's a great one.
So I'm not here just
So
psychically.
Cleveland. The other factor in this, what do you guys think? LeBron coming back to Cleveland. I mean, he's come back multiple times now, but does he want to show Bronny what's up in Cleveland? I mean, does that give him extra motivation? What do you guys think about LeBron's attitude coming back to Cleveland?
Concern is if he goes with Bronny.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind that him and father and son outings game. I don't know.
Do you think LeBron keeps it cleaner now that he's got a son on the team? Does he not do
Clean.
out so late?
LeBron's always kept it clean.
No strip
As far
clubs.
as we know. Or sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, he's probably like getting to bed early on the road, like pretending like this is what I've always done. I've never stayed up late playing video games. Trying to set an example for Bronny.
LeBron such good longevity. He's got to be doing something. I don't know what he's doing.
Well, I think he's doing a lot of things. I think he spends over $1 million a year on his body. Is one report I saw.
I spend.
Just barely over. Not by much, though.
And you look great for 60.
Thank you.
If yours at home don't know, you're 60 probably.
Hey, let's not give LeBron too much credit. He joined the Lakers. The guy's missed 141 out of a possible 449 games. So it's easy to have longevity when you sit out full seasons worth of games.
This is actually a great note. This is actually an insider tip for fantasy right here. LeBron does not play in Utah or Denver. And it's always a different injury, but go back and look. Unless it's the playoffs, he's not going to high elevation to play. He won't do it.
Saving his body.
All right.
Do you think Bronny will fall suit right out the gate?
Yeah, just like
Bronny just not play Utah or Denver either.
We're not playing at elevation. So Bronny only plays at sea level. All right, the Cleveland side. According to our Utah State boy Sam Merrill, at shooting guard, going to get 21 fantasy value, 5.21. He's only $3,500. He's been averaging 13 points is all in the last 3 games, but looks like he's going to get a bump in minutes projected, and the high pace could drive him up to 15, 16, 17. Could easily hit value. Might be a good way to fit some bigger guys into your lineup. Is playing Sam Merrill. Donovan Mitchell, 8,500. He's been averaging 37 points a game, 37 and a half. He does usually get a bump at home, though. He's one of those guys that has better.
I also feel like that Donovan Mitchell is about the spotlight. He likes the spotlight. When you're playing LA, there's always more media. He's going to play better than he is against most other teams.
That's a good take right there. Any love for Georges Niang? What's his nickname again? The minivan?
Any guy that's got the nickname minivan, I put some money on. It can score 15 points for you. Not often, but.
Well, I'll say this. He's 12.8 points average, so he's worth $2,500, and he's at 3,700. So according to our math on our fantasy hacker, if you're trying to play by the numbers, the minivan is out.
Cut the minivan. Cross him out. Don't even consider the minivan. Has anyone ever heard of a person named Dean Wade?
Sounds like my math teacher.
With Max Strus sidelined for an extended period, Wade will get his first crack as a starter.
What position?
Small forward, power forward, only 3,900.
Dwayne Wade's
Yeah.
accidentally did Dean Wade. It's like because it did Wayne.
I'm looking at Dean. I don't think they mistaked him for Dean. Maybe another Wade though. I read a report today that Dwayne Wade saw the statue beforehand and approved it. Yeah, can't imagine.
And I just want to highlight that's the man helping run the Utah Jazz. So let's.
Well, no worries for you. That's not your team. I don't know what you're worried about.
Yeah, no, I feel bad for you three.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I don't know why you're worried about that. You're not a Jazz fan.
Hey, did I say I was worried?
Well, clearly not.
Drink the drink.
I will drink.
Is there any other way?
I enjoy my Mountain Dew at 9 o'clock at night.
Is there any
according to DraftKings, Dean Wade, he's up to projecting 19.2 points. So that gives him a $3,800 value, and he's at 39. So he's right on the fence of value or not.
And I just want to plug, too, that if you're banking on Dean Wade to win your fantasy matchup, you've already lost.
All right, fair enough. All right.
Well, if you found a utility player and you're out of money, that might be a guy.
I don't think Dean will ever be the guy.
Well, if you're building your lineup of studs and duds roster where you have to pay up and you're going to get, you're going to play Donovan or you're going to play Anthony Davis, you got to be able to save some money somewhere. I think maybe Sam Merrill is a way to do that in this game. And if you believe in Donovan's love for the limelight and his home road splits, he might be considered. Evan Mobley, I don't know, man. I don't know how interested Anthony Davis is in guarding anybody. So maybe he sees a bump. His last 3 games, he scored 37.8 fantasy points a game average. He's at 7,700. Not a ton of screaming value there. Yeah, you guys, I think I'm looking at maybe Sam Merrill, Donovan, and that's about it for me in this game. Anybody else you guys like?
I certainly don't want to get your center from this game. Tristan Thompson's a nightmare.
That's true. That's a good point. All right, let's look at Boston, Indiana. Second game on the slate. Let's look at the Boston side first. We got Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White. That's a solid starting lineup. They're all pretty expensive. You got Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench. The only other real guys getting time is going to be Xavier Tillman, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett, but not enough to be value. So you're really looking at the starting five and maybe Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard has been averaging 31 points, fantasy points a game in the last 3, and he's at 5,000. So you need to hit 25 points. He's been averaging 31. There might be some value there at 5,000.
If you look at White, he's projecting 35.3 points at $6,900. Should be worth $7,200. So not a huge win, but he's probably going to play decently, I'd imagine.
This is interesting because it looks like Drew Holiday has only been averaging 20 points a game, fantasy points a game in his last 3. Projecting 31 though, so it's kind of a projected bounce back for Drew Holiday. He's priced accordingly, but if he stays doing what he's been doing the last 3 games, I don't know if I'd bet on that.
And an area that is an advantage for us is if you have the Fantasy Hacker program, we are factoring the last 5 games.
That's true. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both averaging about 47 points a game over their last 3. Jaylen Brown, you're going to get a significant discount though. You're going to get him at 8,400. Jason Tatum's almost 10,000. So I think my favorite play on this might be Jaylen Brown or Peyton Pritchard.
Pritchard's a great find.
You a Peyton Pritchard guy?
Oregon, right? Head?
He does have a buzzed head. That's a plus.
Or again?
5,000. So he's got to hit 25 fantasy points. 25. To hit value, but he's been his last every game this season. Let's see. This first game was only 21. Then he went 14, against the Knicks. Then he went at Washington, got up to 22, at Detroit up to 26, and then versus Milwaukee last night, which was Monday night, 46 points for Peyton Pritchard. He had 28 real points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Not a bad line for Peyton Pritchard off the bench. It says he tied Eddie House's franchise record for 3-pointers made off the bench. And Eddie House is one of my personal favorite players of all time. Anyone remember Eddie House?
It was a thing, though, so nobody ever put money on Eddie House.
Little tiny guard. Didn't play a lick of defense. Would come in and just was just a professional scorer, would just get blazing hot, or he would be ice cold. Nothing in between. I went to a game once. I think he was playing for Phoenix. Team got blown out in the fourth quarter. They put him in, just emptied the bench, put him in. He led the team in scoring. He only played 4 minutes. He had 21 points in the final 4 minutes of the game. And they asked him after the game in the locker room on the way home. I was listening, and they asked him, "Do you think that you should get more than 4 minutes a game after scoring 21 points in 4 minutes?" And he's like, "Oh, no, absolutely not. I believe in Coach. I know he's doing exactly what he should be doing." I was just
wow.
Who gets 21 points and then just takes his hat off to the coach for only giving him 4 minutes?
That was back in the day, though, when the coach had a lot more power.
That's true.
Back then, the coach could bench a player, and it is what it is. Now the player is firing the coach.
That's true.
Quick, does and Corey Brewer all have in common?
Say that again. Who's the 3 guys again? Michael Jordan,
Corey Brewer.
Not to be mistaken with Ronnie Brewer.
With Ronnie Brewer. Ronnie Brewer, he was a University of Arkansas guy, right?
You keep throwing out colleges, and to these players 20 years ago.
Any guesses? Elite company of players who have scored 50 points in a game. Corey Brewer.
I think that Brandon is frozen with shock from your. He's just.
Eddie House being a microwave kind of reminds me of guys like Corey Brewer, Tony Delk, who have scored 50 points in a game. Wasn't there a guy last year that did it? San Diego State. What's his name?
There have been a lot of people score 50 points in a game.
There's been a lot of people that scored 50 points in the game. Donovan Mitchell.
He's a big.
Kobe Bryant.
Those are big.
Darren Williams.
Someone did it last night. Who did it last night? Oh, the dude from the Magic.
So you're just saying it's a no-name guy and we can enjoy.
Malachi Flynn.
I'm frozen too, but I'm still talking. Or can you not hear me?
I can hear
Okay.
you. You got to wonder if we're still recording now that we've lost Adams.
Well, we're recording. That's on. I can see. And the sad part is we're getting to the end of the podcast, and the end of the podcast is Adam's supposed to be sharing his picks with the world. Now he's back. I'm frozen, but he's back.
My computer just crashed for no reason.
Well, you should just use your phone.
To score 50 points in an NBA game.
What was the similarity between Wilt, Michael?
They've all scored 50 points in one NBA game, or in at least one NBA game.
Paolo Banchero now.
Last night. Paolo?
Yep, the Magic dude, right?
Let's look at side of this one, Indiana. And we got Tyrese Halliburton off to a slow start this year. Miles Turner looks like a game time decision. I don't know if you have any updates on that, Jose. Pascal Siakam. No, I don't love Indiana. I don't think they play fast enough to be good for fantasy. The over-under on this game is 233, which isn't bad, but I think that's a lot. It's a 7-point spread, so a lot of that's going onto the Boston side. McConnell, one of my favorites. Only projected to get 15 minutes, though. 4,200. He's got to hit 20 points value, and I don't see that happening. A. Smith, Toppin. What do you guys take on the Pacers this year?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's just not a lot of firepower. Well, there is Pascal, but he'll be expensive every game. I don't see any of them hitting our projection of the 5 point per thousand.
I'm fading Indiana tomorrow. That's for sure. We
still need to find a center somewhere. That's, I think, one of the biggest ones. Because this is 2 games in a row now we have no center.
Philly. Let's look at Philly. The Philly-Detroit game at center, you're going to have Andre Drummond, who's priced all the way up to 7,000. Looks like it doesn't. Embiid's out. Maxi's going to be 9,200. So he's got to get close to 50 to hit value, but he's been averaging 46 in the last 3. The Detroit team, who probably doesn't play a lot of defense. There's only 216 though, so it looks like both these teams are playing slow. The Grays.
Price again?
1,000. You got to hit 30, or he's got to hit 40, and averaging 32 in the last 3.
He doesn't hit.
I mean, he's gotten 17. He got 17 rebounds last game and only had 35 fantasy points.
Now Duran, he does hit 31.8 points per game, $6,600. 31.8 points. It's going to be really close to that number. So, not that that's a great number, but it should be a hit.
Jalen Duran shown value at 5.23 based on projected numbers. So yeah, Jalen Duran, keep him as a possible center for your lineups. Highest value from Detroit looks like Tobias Harris at only 6,000. He's cheaper than Duran, and he's averaging 27 in his last 3. But let's look. He hasn't been great this year, honestly. I wouldn't feel terrible playing him just based on his career. But he's got 18 fantasy points game 1, 27 next game, 29 the next game, and 26. He hasn't hit 30 yet.
If you're looking to spend money on Detroit, I think a good take is Cade Cunningham. He's averaging 48.2 points at $8,700 salary. Based on our projections, he could cost as much as $9,600. So he's almost $1,000 per budget. If you look at his 3 games of the year, he's been very consistent in his points, averaging 26 points, and that's what he's scoring every game. So he's consistent, reliable. I think if you're spending money on Detroit, that's a great play, great take.
I like that one. But his boy Simone Fontecchio, only 3,500. Jose.
See, I'm paying him over Dean. You need to fill some fill some minutes and take up some cash. Give it to him
It
over
feels,
Dean.
feels like the Cliff Paul for NBA.
You know,
dropped down since last year with the Pistons last year. He had a great year actually. Expecting him to kind of left off, but his numbers are down all the way across the board. Maybe he can bounce back and have a
One against
game.
Indiana, he played 15 minutes, had no points and a rebound. No assists, no steals, no blocks, and one turnover.
Last year, I mean, he was averaging 15 points on good, decent rebounds, decent across the board. So far, but he's only 3,500.
Another name that a big name to not follow would be Tobias Harris. He is not value at all. So if you're trying to pick based on star power, avoid Harris.
The only caveat to that is he's in return to Philadelphia. So I don't know if he
No, true.
We know he can hit it, but probably, I mean, one other thing to keep in mind when you're setting these lineups is if you're playing a cash game, meaning a head-to-head or a 50-50 split is the payout. So all you have to do is be better than average, hypothetically, to get paid. Don't take chances on guys like Tobias Harris, like Dustin was saying. If you're playing a tournament game where like you gotta not be just better than average, you gotta be the best out of 1,000 players in a pool. Maybe Tobias Harris is one to look at. Big game, price down after having a few bad games to start the season. Same with Fontecchio.
That's a great take. Great take.
I mean, Fontecchio could be another one too for a tournament, but not for a cash game. Let's look at Atlanta, Washington. Atlanta's been giving it up to everybody. 34 points is the over-under. They're playing fast. They're not playing defense. Notoriously does the same thing. A huge total. A lot of players from this game in cash just because there's going to be inflated number of possessions for both teams. You're going to get a ton of value out of it. In fact, one to look at right away, Corey Kispert. She's always been a big fan of Corey Kispert.
yeah.
He had. They played Atlanta last night, actually. So this is again 31 fantasy points against Atlanta tonight. So I don't know if Atlanta makes some adjustments and the way they cover him, but he had 21 real points, 4 rebounds, and assists to steal, 4 threes. And he's only 4,900, so he's only got to get 25, 24 points to hit value. He comes off the bench though.
I'll tell you another big one that's looking really good is Larry Nance Jr. His points to salary value is really nice.
That's probably
0.8 $3,900 salary. That's a good one.
0.66 is his fantasy value projected.
Didn't he have a DNP coach's decision yesterday?
Not yesterday. It looks
2 days ago, 3 days. Maybe I made that up.
No, the 20th. No, you're right. The first 3 games of the year he didn't play. Okangawu
Good choice.
has been hurt or got hurt and has been out. So he stepped in and played 23 minutes last night, Larry Nance. So it looks like Onika Okangawu is going to be out again. So you can expect another 23 minutes. Larry Nance Jr.
3,900.
coming at 3,900.
Good pickup.
I'm impressed you had Okangawu. Like, I would not have known how to pronounce that.
I didn't do it right. Who knows?
It sounds great. I thought it sounded phenomenal. I'm impressed.
Stay with confidence. I think that's the main thing.
Wanted to correct him because none of us really know.
No one knows. Maybe Onika will come in and correct us.
Other side, you got Jonas Valanciunas playing center, which 5,800 if you want to spend up a little more of a sure thing. Had 27, 20, and 22 fantasy points in his first 3 games. He's got to hit 27.
Yeah, him and Capella are very similar, so you could pick either side of the ball there, and they're the same dollar figure too. So
Are we? Or go ahead.
According to the metrics, I think this is just based, because of the pace of this game. Kispert, Jonas Valanciunas, Larry Nance, Bilal Coulibaly, Young, Zachary, when I don't know, Rasacher, I don't know, Carlton Carrington, Sean George, Jared Butler, projected hit value. Who knew he was even in the league still? Alex Sarr, the rookie, Johnson, Jordan Poole, all projected to hit 5 points per $1,000. So, I mean, can't emphasize enough how much like you should be playing this game tomorrow, getting guys in from this game. Trae Young's been hot to start. He's had a 59, a 71, 33, and a 47. So, I mean, if he the potential to, I mean, he has 71.5 points. That's huge value no matter what price tag he's at $9,900. He's got to hit 50 points. And with this many possessions, I can't imagine him not. I mean, I'd feel pretty comfortable playing Trae Young too. I feel comfortable playing him in real life. I don't think he's that great of a basketball player, but for fantasy purposes. Did anybody know Jared Butler was still in the league?
Oh, going back to college is, even though I got grief about it. He's a Baylor guy, right? Yeah.
To get 14 minutes tomorrow, $200. He could save you some money. Rookie Alex Sarr, you could play him at center too. 5,300. His first 3 NBA games. 13 was his first NBA game at 22 minutes. And he at 28, 26 fantasy points. His minutes have been going up every game. He went from 22 to 25 to 27. These figures, we have him projected 28 minutes, going up one more minute. Did hit 27 points, fantasy points at 5,300.
How you feeling about Jordan Poole?
I think he's a lot like Trae Young, terrible basketball player, but sometimes he works for fantasy. 7,500. So what's he got to hit?
7,700.
700.
So he's a buy, but not by a long way. But it's just interesting how many guys are out, right? Like Kuzma's out, Brogdon's out, Daniels is out, Bogdanovic is out. There's a lot of big names in this game that aren't playing, which
value
is going to, hopefully Trae Young's probably going to play better and Jordan Poole's probably going to play better. They're the bigger names on the court.
Get more usage, even if their minutes don't go up because they're kind of maxed out on minutes already. They're probably
but the usage should go up.
So, I mean, play anybody and everybody in this game, honestly, I think is the takeaway, just because the possessions are going to be so high. And it's going to be no defense at all being played.
And a great game for your center, where we're struggling to find centers in other games.
For sure. Look at Toronto, Charlotte.
Real quick. How long is this episode? So the reason
it's at 39 minutes.
Well, no, but the reason I bring this up is we got 10 games still, and if we're capped out at like 45 minutes, we got to step on the gas.
We got one more game
still. We got 4. What are you
looking? 8
at?
games tonight. We've covered 6. We're on 7.
Yep, I was looking clear down to Friday. This isn't good. I don't know where I'm at.
Anyone we're really impressing tonight. Our salesmanship.
Quality content you can expect from fantasy hackers right here.
It is. I'm frozen. Josie doesn't know where he's at. Scott doesn't have a computer. And he's on his bed, clearly.
The only sign Niels is still around is about every 4 minutes you just hear him hacking in the background. Doesn't have the decency to turn it on mute.
I will do better at my mute. I apologize.
No, and forgive me for talking about Friday's games. Yeah, this isn't good. This is
another game with a lot of guys out. Barnes is out. I mean, this is really your job, Ghost, but I'm just helping out.
Yeah, please.
Hiller's out.
He has no idea if these guys are playing on Friday or not.
He doesn't know. So Olenik's out.
Injured next Friday.
I don't even know who half these guys are. You just listed like 12 people in the Hawks Wizards game. I had no idea who you were even talking about. I didn't even know they were in the league.
Catch up with the times here. I'll tell you, this is an interesting one. Lonzo Ball, who's going to be super expensive, as you imagine. He's 90.
No, Lonzo's out. He hurt his wrist. He's done.
Well, got
he's
him.
out. He's done.
Okay, all right.
I just saw the headline. He's done. He's out for like 10 days.
What are you looking at? Because I'm not seeing that.
Last year he saw that.
No. Like it's the headline news. It says Lonzo Ball suffers new injury.
Tonight, maybe?
Yeah, it was tonight. He's done.
Back.
Yeah, Lonzo Ball.
He was a good buy, so that's a big hit.
Wait. Lonzo or LaMelo?
I'm talking Lonzo. Lonzo's done.
Okay.
He said Lonzo suffers new injury out 10 days minimum, which probably means
Well,
20 to
welcome to doing
30.
your job. Thanks for doing your job, Jose.
Yeah,
I'm
no
impressed.
problem.
We
Thank
are
you.
on Charlotte, though, which would be LaMelo.
Yeah, yep. Well, in my defense, I'm not the one who brought up Lonzo, I don't think.
Sorry, LaMelo. Yeah, sorry.
All right, thank
That's
you.
my bad. I read L Ball and I did say the wrong name. You're correct. Sorry about that.
Thank
Thinking
you.
LaMelo the whole time.
Thank you. See?
LaMelo Ball. He's 54.9 projected points. His salary is 9,600. So at that projected point, that's almost worth $11,000. So it's actually a great buy.
It's Charlotte.
It's buy, but
I can see Charlotte slowing the pace down, but we got an over under at 226, so I'm not scared off by that pace at all. 6-point spread shouldn't be too big of a blowout, especially with all these guys out for Toronto. Yeah, I like Lonzo Ball a lot. He could be your stud to play tomorrow. On the Charlotte side, you got Seth Curry. He's usually pretty cheap and pretty consistent. 27 minutes. He's only $3,900. He's got to hit 20.
surprisingly, October30's a hit as well.
Pirtle on the Toronto side. You actually from Jakob Pirtle. Be my favorite center tomorrow. 6,300. The first 4 games of the year, he had a slow first game against Cleveland. That might at 17.8 in 26 minutes. Game against Philadelphia, he had 41. Minnesota playing Rudy Gobert dropped to 28. Denver back up to 45. Who's going to be guarding him on the other side?
Nick Richards.
He'll be just fine.
Another good value that I'm seeing here, and you give your opinion, but Seth Curry's looking like a decent value.
I mentioned him. He always he's so consistent. He consistently gets, between 15 and 25 fantasy points every single night. They always price him at like 3,900. Always a great one to fill out your lineups if you need a cheap guy.
Also, I'm glad that I didn't script. I did get Seth Curry. I did not get LaMelo Ball. I screwed up that one, but I did get the other brotherhood correct.
Baji slated for 31 minutes tomorrow night. Here's another one that's over 6 points per dollar or per 6.21 fantasy value. Jamal Sheed, a point guard. Never heard of him. 21 minutes, 3,700. He projected to get about 23 points. 3,700. That's a good one. So the way this is shaping out, I like Jakob Pirtle at my center. I like Jamal Sheed at like a budget guard spot. Maybe like a Seth Curry, filling out with a lot of Atlanta, Washington guys. But yeah, you can play duds and duds lineup, and these two, this Atlanta, Washington, Toronto, Charlotte, I think has a lot of value. What do you guys like on the Charlotte side? Richards, the center, could be value. 4,800 is all.
I can tell you who I don't like is Mikal Bridges. I think he's way too expensive for his projection.
Not a great human. Miles Bridges, right?
Well, I screwed it up again.
Mikal, I think, has got a pretty great reputation. I think I read somewhere that he has eaten at Chipotle. It was something like 5 years straight, like almost every single day.
To that guy.
He's probably trying to become Chipotle's Jared, which is also not a great thing that you want to be.
Jared.
Talk about Mikal Bridges for New York now.
Mikal, New York.
He decent value. He's 6,200. Thing with New York, I like to fade New York games all the time because play the slowest pace in the NBA so far the year. I think they're averaging like 89 points or 89 possessions a game is the pace of the game. The league is averaging like 105. Like that's how slow grind out they play. So there's going to be less possessions in this game. The over-under is only 214. So their implied total in this game is 108 points. His implied total is 106. I think everybody's going to take a drop just based on the fact that there's going to be 15% less possessions in this game than there normally is. I hate to just cross off Miami. I mean, sometimes that stuff is baked into the analysis, but like the only two players over 5 in fantasy value is Bam Adebayo, and you got to pay $7,700 for him. Doesn't fit in a studs and duds lineup. Haywood Highsmith, our forward, getting 25 minutes, only 3,500. Maybe you play him, but I mean everybody else: Tyler Rozier, Tyler Hero, Butler, Robinson, Alec Burks, cross them off. I think they're any value against New York. Brunson, you guys like him?
No, I hate him, but I mean, are you saying do I like him as the point thing? He doesn't have value.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate him.
Opinions. What's your take on Brunson?
Better than Marcus Smart, but I'm not sold on Brunson. I think if Brunson's your star, you're not going far.
Did you mean to rhyme there? Because that's a great rhyme.
I didn't, but thank you. I'm not sold on Brunson. I don't know. I like his dad. Don't care much for him.
Well, let me tell you a story, guys. I went to New York City within weeks after Jalen Brunson became a Knick, and Times Square was lit up with Jalen Brunson everywhere. New York is very, very excited to have him, he fits right in. New York is the most expensive city in the country and close in the world, and that's the same case here tonight. You got Jalen Brunson, overvalued by $2,000. He's fitting right in where he is. He's a pile of trash.
Can I ask why the personal hatred towards Mr. Brunson?
Well, because he played hard against the Jazz in the playoffs and beat us, and I didn't like it. Or didn't beat us, but played hard against us, and I didn't like it.
Good. He's a good.
I don't like this guy. He plays hard.
Hey, not when he plays against your team. It pisses you off. He plays physically
not my
hard.
team, Miller.
It's not your team, but we were soft. We had Donovan Mitchell. We were soft. We didn't want to get hit. Jalen Brunson was punching us in the mouth, and I've just developed every time I see him, I don't like to see him anymore. Ruined my whole New York trip, looking at Jalen Brunson's face everywhere.
He just looks grumpy. Even when he's happy, he's grumpy.
Satisfied.
Which can be good, but not in his case.
And I think he was New York's. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were playing hard for Donovan Mitchell, and they picked up Brunson as their second option after they didn't get Mitchell, if I'm correct.
Going back now, who would you rather have on your team right now, Donovan Mitchell or Jalen Brunson?
It was a tough call. For fantasy or for
Your
real life
team, real basketball?
It's a tough call. Neither.
It's awesome. He's a gamer though. I mean, the dude just shows up.
Tough one. I think they're going to be talked about for the next couple of years as who's the better. Easy to compare those guys. Same conference.
They're both pretty awesome.
2 more games left. Let's go Orlando, Chicago. This is an over-under of 227, 5.5 point spread. Orlando's the favorite. Chicago plays fast. Orlando does not. So it'll be interesting to see which way the pace goes on this one.
I did hear something about Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, he's out. I would not play him.
Out.
Yeah, he's got a bad wrist. He'll be out for the next 10 days.
There's the right timing. Oh, man. Banchero is a buy actually at $9,100. That's kind of
coming off his 50-point game. I don't know. I feel like there's a personality trait in some players that they have a big game, and it's either like a drop off. You can expect it, or you can kind of expect him to chase it again. I don't know which one Paulo is, but it could go either way. Wendell Carter, 6 on fantasy value. Another possible center, 600. He started the year Miami. He had 32.5, Brooklyn 32.5, and played Memphis. He struggled with Edie, probably being 8 feet tall, 19.5. But then in Indiana, he's back up to almost 30 points. So against Chicago is going to have Nikola Vucevic, might give him problems. I don't know. Potential center. I wouldn't take him out of your lineups. Be a good play.
The potential player is Jalen Suggs. He looks like he's hitting the value.
He is hitting value, so keep him in as a potential for your lineups. Well, to definitely not play Gary Harris, 4,100, projecting only 10 fantasy points. Him off of any list that you have. Chicago side of it, the best value looks like Josh Giddey, 32 minutes, $6,400, and 38 fantasy points. He's hit 37.3 in the last 3. So I think that's a pretty safe play. 45 against Memphis. His kind of one down game was OKC. It was his old team. They probably had his number. See him having a big game tomorrow. What you guys like on the Chicago side? You got Vucevic, Kobe White, Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's only 7,300, but
He hits value.
I don't know why this has him projected so low. Must have been a pace thing. He's been averaging 41 fantasy points a game over the last 3. Projection for tomorrow only has him at 32. So I don't. It must be something to do with pace or something to do with window on the defensive side. Franz Wagner's causing problems. The Wagner brothers. You guys fans of the Wagner brothers? Lando?
Moritz. Oh, let's see. This is the older brother. And I can't say that he's not good because he's in the NBA. His last game, he had 14 points in 16 minutes. But isn't Franz the younger brother? And he's kind of a Franz.
He is a beast.
20. He's 4 years younger.
Nobody's given the Franz and Mortiz Wagner the Antetokounmpo and his brother and Thanasis treatment. I thought Thanasis was only in the NBA because of Giannis. Saying that about the Wagner brothers.
Well, I don't think that Franz is pulling the weight that Giannis is pulling to get a player in the NBA. So
True.
I mean, it's
not calling the shots in Orlando. You don't think?
Franz is not calling the shots. Giannis called the shots to get his brother, and LeBron called the shots to get his unworthy son. So I mean, it's just unbelievable what teams are doing for certain players anymore. It's quite something.
His coach said that this is not something that was given to him. He earned.
He's the first ever go to a G League player ever to get a guaranteed contract in. It's impressive.
Can't stand JJ Redick. He acts like he is like the greatest player to ever play. He acts like a pompous prick during his interviews. Like he's just like the greatest coach. He's a mediocre role player on a team who could shoot threes. And just, I don't like him. I don't care for him. I don't want to talk about him. He's done. I don't like him.
What's your thoughts on his take about the NBA players being, what do you say, plumbers and firemen?
He's not wrong. You ever seen Jerry West dribble?
And
Can't believe he's still the logo. Jerry West passing away probably bought him another 20 years as the logo.
I kind of felt like once he died, we can change it now.
I don't think the logo is going anywhere.
Now it would be too sensitive. They were probably about to change it, and then he died, and then couldn't change it now out of poor taste.
Well, I think before this is over, I don't know if we're going to go through Brooklyn and Memphis, but we also want to get through Adam's picks for the night.
Let's quickly the values.
We got to wrap this up. I got to get to Smith still before I go to bed.
You had to sit and listen to your take on JJ Redick. Glenn has Dorian Finney-Smith, Cameron Johnson. Guys, kind of mid-tier. Dorian Finney-Smith is 4,200, so he kind of fits into that scrubs studs build if that's the way that you're going to go. On the Memphis side, Aldama is a bucket, by the way. Nobody talks about Santi Aldama. I went to that game. This Utah was a bucket. His last couple games, he had 37.8 fantasy points against Utah. He dropped to 15 against Houston. Then Orlando, he was up to 41.3. In Chicago, 41.3. Like, he's a bucket. At $5,400, I mean, the
great value. Yeah. 6,800 is what it should be.
Yeah.
Bane was early in his career, and DraftKings didn't realize how good he was. They had him at like 3,500, and he was starts. Maybe Aldama's like that.
I don't want to take up too much more time here, but I think it's crucial that we also talk about a player that's playing this game that doesn't look like they're bringing value, but we all know has that potential. His name's Marcus Smart. Josie, if you could speak to us a little bit about Marcus Smart.
So you have him in your lineup, Jose?
Nothing. I don't care for the Celtics, but nothing brings me more joy to know that they won the championship the year they traded Marcus Smart, and I don't think it's any coincidence. He's been holding them back for 7 years. He dyes his hair green and thinks he's the star of the NBA. And I'm done. I don't like Marcus. I don't appreciate Marcus. I don't care for Marcus. And I'm done. I'm glad he's on Memphis.
What are you done with? You said you're done 3 times, and what is it that you're done with?
I'm hoping to be done with this episode soon. We've been going for an hour, but I blame Scott, who was 30 minutes late and then another 15 minutes late due to his lack of computer.
That's just what our listeners are going to want to hear. Our own podcast is done.
What? Sometimes enough's already. You just want to get some sleep.
I'm going to give you my three Stone Cold locks to hit value tomorrow. Hey, number 1, after going through that, my favorite play on the board, center, Pirtle. 2, shooter of the night, in Atlanta in a game that's paced up, game where Atlanta couldn't stop him last night, Kispert, 4,900. 3, the value of the night, Al-Sheed, point guard for Toronto, who I just learned about tonight. Going to get 21 minutes, only 3,700.
That's a great lock.
He's
I don't know who he is, but he's a lock.
I'm just looking at the numbers here, and based on that, he's going to be in all my lineups. Corey Kispert, Jakob Poeltl, Jamal Sheed, get him in your lineups. Here's the 3 players that will not hit value. I'll give you 3 that definitely will not play. Milton, don't get tricked into that. Play Cole Anthony, don't get tricked into that. Don't play Duncan Robinson, don't get tricked into that. That pace is going to be so slow.
And for any of you that were wanting to play Shake Milton, just quit playing, period. Just close your account, you're done. Shake's never going to be the answer.
Some good moments, man.
So did Santiago Gaines. But the time is up for Shake Milton.
Thank you for bearing with us through our first podcast. See you next week. Good luck. Wednesday slate. 3 locks are going to be automatic. We'll follow up and make sure they were next week. Thank you, everybody.
Do we have a closing sound?
Thank you.
Thanks for.
Are we updating on X? Wow, I got